and it says edit this code and save to reload. Okay, we're not going to actually exactly do that. Okay, instead what we are going to do is I'm going to just simplify a bunch of this stuff here. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of these imports. I am going to leave that alone. Okay, and here's what I'm going to do. So React DOM.render, what happens? We actually put in here some DOM elements that basically we want. Okay, some HTML. So let's just try something. So let's just try hello world. Okay, I'm going to put it in a string. And let's just try that. Okay. And what happens is I did a save. Unfortunately, what's going on, the way we're actually going to be doing this, I'm going to need to have to stop and restart each time I make a change. Okay, that's unfortunate, but that's what we're going to need to do. Okay, so we've got a hello world. Now let's just inspect this. So I'm right-clicking and looking at inspect. And I see that I have a div, right? But instead of being an empty div, now it's been replaced, or the contents of the root div have been replaced. In my case, replaced with the string hello world. Okay. Now I can do other things here. So I'm going to add a div here. And you might say, how can I be adding divs inside a JavaScript file? And the reason is this is actually using what's called JSX. So it's JavaScript XML is what it's called. There's actually a preprocessor that runs. So it takes your JavaScript file and it runs through this preprocessor that looks for this JSX, which is this HTML basically snippets that are inside of your JavaScript. And it converts those to some function calls that capture this HTML. So I can, for instance, put in, let's see, so we have hello world. Let's go ahead and add a button. So what I want you to notice is these are all going to be lowercase. Refer to these HTML tags. Let's add a button, and the button is going to be press me, let's say. Okay, so I'll stop this, rerun, and now, yes, we have the press me. And in fact, it does work like a button, although it doesn't actually do anything. So this can be a whole hierarchy of stuff here. So I could have more divs if I wanted. Okay. And you can actually also add attributes to the div. So for instance, you could say ID equals something like that. And let's just look. And now if we look, we can see this div here has an ID 123, right? Okay. So we've correctly specified our ID. We could, of course, put in classes too. Stop this, restart. And we get class and the ID. Okay, so just the ability to be able to put in sort of raw HTML in here is not interesting. The interesting thing about JSX is the templatizing, the fact that we can actually evaluate JavaScript in here. So within this, we can actually put in some JavaScript code. and we'll just put it inside curly braces. So let me give you a small example. Let's say instead of more stuff here, we want to put in something like the current time is, and then we'll go ahead and add in some code inside curly braces. Okay, well, let's just put something even simpler, which would be something like 3 plus 4 times 2 equals 3 plus 4 times 2. Okay, so anything outside of curly braces is just passed on as is. Anything inside curly braces is actually evaluated. So this is going to evaluate to 3 plus 4 times 2, and this over here is going to evaluate, basically create a date and convert it to a time string. So this will end up as a string. And we see that, in fact, okay, the current time is 3:34:58. The current time actually now is 3:35. This isn't updating. This code is only ever run once. This JavaScript is called a single time when we load our page, and never again. And so therefore it's just getting the current time as of the page loaded. So we could change this to maybe this page was loaded at, might be more accurate. So this gives us a lot of flexibility, being able to put in JavaScript kind of inside HTML. Okay, it makes it very handy. You could do this all kind of with a bunch of functions that would say something like, create a div, and then have some children for that. Right, this would be one child, and then another div is another child, and this is the child of the div, and so that's all possible. But it's just much easier with this syntax. So the key thing to keep in mind is curly braces denote JavaScript.